Could everyone take their seats, please? Okay, well, noswaith dda, croeso, good evening and welcome to the Senedd, and thank you to Nwami Networking for World Awareness of Multicultural Integration for inviting me as Nwami's Honorary President to sponsor tonight's event entitled Multicultural Integration and the Role of Welsh Culture. In fact, it's been quite a multicultural week here this week. 2 nights ago, in this very space, we were celebrating the Kurdish New Year with representatives from the Kurdish community locally. Well, this evening, there'll be 2 hours of cultural activities and presentations, including exhilarating music and dance performances. Well, over the last 11 years, Nwami has worked extremely hard to raise awareness of diversity and multiculturalism. Nwami is a non-profit community interest group with no paid staff, run by board members and volunteers from diverse backgrounds. They rely on their own fundraising and on members working with board members to plan and implement their own learning and engagement projects. Nwami promotes community cohesion and social integration through education and cultural engagement nationally and internationally, and aims to reduce hate crime throughout society by building tolerance and understanding, along with a mutual respect of diverse culture for everybody. Their members come from diverse ethnic and social backgrounds. In 2013, Nwami organised a multicultural event at Bangor University, hosted by the university and funded by Bangor City Council, Gwynedd County Council, Arts Council Wales and the Big Lottery, with invited speakers and performances from around the UK and beyond, encouraging participants to introduce a similar multicultural ethos into their own organisations. Nwami has also held events at the UK Houses of Parliament, the Temple of Peace in Cardiff, and here in the Senedd previously for the same purpose. And whilst Nwami is their registered name, their operational name, as you probably saw on the invites and notices, is the Centre for Cultural Engagement. On 16th of June 2015, the Centre for Cultural Engagement was formally launched in this very space in the Senedd at an event which I also hosted, which was well attended by Assembly members, as we were then called, and a wide range of organisations focused on building community cohesion and a tolerant society through cultural engagement. Unfortunately, on a Thursday evening, almost all members of the Senedd, as we're now called, have gone back to their homes across Wales because the formal business of the Parliament only runs till Thursdays. But I'm here, and hopefully we will be seeing the Minister shortly. On 3rd of June 2016, I was then pleased to speak at the official opening of the Nwami Centre for Cultural Engagement's initial multicultural community partnership premises in Colwyn Bay, providing space for people and organisations to engage in a wide range of multicultural activities. On the 9th of October 2018, Nwami launched the annual celebration of International Integration Day through their event Integration Through Learning and Cultural Exchange, held at the Temple of Peace in Cardiff. This event was well attended and highly appreciated by the audience. I closed that event. I think Judge Ray Singh had been in my position at that one, hosting and officiating, thanking performers and speakers and emphasising the importance of integration by celebrating our glorious diversity together, building community cohesion and a tolerant society. On 9th of October 2019, I sponsored and spoke at Noami's second annual celebration of International Integration Day, held in the Senedd Pierhead building, the red building over there. This again integrated short speeches with performances of music from Welsh and other cultures. I referred to Noami events I'd attended and spoken at during the previous year, including Diwali celebration and Windrush Day event. On 9th of October 2020, I spoke online, because now we were into COVID, at Noami's third annual celebration of International Integration Day, when I formally launched Noami's booklet, Noami, Wales and Our Story, which refers both to Noami's origins as the North Wales Association for Multicultural Integration and its rebranded name and role, Networking for World Awareness of Multicultural Integration. Speaking at this event, the Noami's founder and chair, Dr. Sibani Roy, said, Noami's mission has been to integrate newcomers with local people through cultural exchange and education, to reduce hate crime, and has successfully staged numerous cultural events, interfaith seminars, debates, language classes, cookery demonstrations, and so on. In fact, since then, we've gone on to formally establish our first overseas branch, and there's now a Noami branch in Malta, doing great things over there. Well, on the 9th of October 2021, I spoke at Noami's International Integration Day virtual event, where I focused on the situation in Afghanistan and the support we can and must provide for its victims, whilst also noting that National Hate Crime Awareness Week started on the same day. And on 9th of October 2022, I again spoke at Noami's International Integration Day virtual event, where I referred to the video I'd produced for Noami's celebration of the Platinum Jubilee of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, and referring to Her Majesty's death, I stated we must unite in our grief and take strength both that our country and the Commonwealth are better placed today for her long reign and life of public service. 8 countries came together in 1949 to form the modern Commonwealth. Her Majesty became head of the Commonwealth after being chosen for this role by Commonwealth member countries when she became Queen 3 years later. Since then, the Commonwealth has grown to become a free association not of 8 countries, but of 56 independent and equal member countries. I thank Her Majesty for her service. I also highlighted National Crime Awareness Week 2022, a week of action that takes place in the UK to encourage local authorities and police, key partners and communities affected by hate crime to work together to tackle local hate crime. As chair and founder of Noami, Dr. Sibani Roy has previously stated, some of the people think that when you talk about integration, you mean assimilation. We have to explain to people that integration is not assimilation. We have to respect the law and culture of the land. She added, what we need to do is educate people and say we are all human beings. We're friendly and we should try to understand each other's culture. When they learn about other cultures, she said, then they will possibly become friendly. Change will happen very slowly. Tit for tat is not the way to change people. By talking to people and educating people, eventually by convincing them that human beings are not all bad. It doesn't matter, it's individuals. And that is what I've always believed myself, she said, that we treat them as individuals. It doesn't matter what the background is, their faith or colour. Well, to achieve this, we need to promote an understanding and respect of this country's diverse cultures through cultural engagement and interaction, education and training. We need to build a cohesive community and integrated society in Wales in the 21st century. As the Cambridge Dictionary states, integration is the action of process of successfully joining or mixing with a different group of people. Integration is also sometimes referred to as a multicultural concept that denotes the removal of barriers that segregate human beings, where integration can only happen when tolerance in the form of mutual respect and acceptance occurs on the part of racially and ethnically different groups of human beings, accepting, recognizing, valuing and celebrating, as well as giving equal rights for participation. As I've said many times, as I said earlier in this speech, this is about celebrating our glorious diversity together. Well, Dr. Sibani Roy was due to be with us tonight, but sadly she received a short notice medical appointment and can't be with us. But she sent me a note to read out to you. So before I move on to the next speaker, I will read out her words. Croeso I bawb, welcome to you all. I regret that I could not be with you in person today because of some temporary medical issues. Chris Hemmings from North Wales is present instead. Where's Chris? Well, there he is. I believe you brought down the sign as well, so thanks for that. My apology to Honourable Minister of Justice Jane Hutt MS, who's now sitting to my left, your right, and all Nuami friends and supporters present today. I thank you all for attending, and thanks to Mark Isherwood and his office for sponsoring this event. Also a big thanks to Senedd Events and Commissions departments for supporting us all on the way. So thanks to all the Senedd staff who are still with us. This year, Nuami successfully completed its first era, 12 years according to Indian astronomy. Therefore, we can say that this is a nice way to celebrate. Nuami's mission has been to promote multiculturalism and acts of integration of people of different countries coming from diverse cultures. While we talk about integration, we include those people who want to make their home long-term or permanently, as well as people who come for a short time, for example, international students, academics, and professionals. I'm pleased to say, she says, that Nuami's high-profile in multicultural event hosted by Bangor University in 2013 and thereafter at Senedd in 2015 have been catalysts in surging interest in multiculturalism, resulting in sprouting of multicultural hubs in East, West, North and South Wales. However, raising awareness on the importance of integration has been slow, but ongoing steadily and internationally. I personally believe, she said, that integration could lead to better identification of minority populations, hence tolerance and acceptance by Indigenous and mainstream people, with a possible outcome of reduced hate crime. For the last few years, I've been looking for a successor, she says, but eventually realised that a successor for the whole of Nuami is not possible, and running Nuami into bite size might be the reality. Therefore, we propose that Cardiff directors, along with the England director, will continue to promote Nuami's mission through cultural activities, and North Wales directors do the same, mainly through education. Today's event is the first step of organising cultural events by Cardiff directors, namely Councillor Julie Sangani. Julie's still with us? She told me she has to rush off for a council meeting this evening, so she may have left. Tripti Magari and Chetna Sinha, whereas England's director, Ragasudha Vinjamuri, who is the artistic director also, and you'll be hearing more from her later. She is facilitating today's event and put up this show in collaboration with Sauda Arts lead Ahmed Keisha, a multi-talented friend of ours. My personal gratitude to both of them. Therefore, in my relief, Nuami will survive and thrive when I eventually, but may gradually, step down. Enjoy the event and hope that in future you could join our international advisory panel chaired by Judge Ray Singh, CBE. Later in the event, I and Judge Ray Singh, which is Mark Isherwood and Judge Ray Singh, will thank you for your kind attendance and support. The founder chair of Nuami International Malta, Maria Doublesin, sends her regards to you. also Clwyd West MP, Right Honourable David Jones, wishes this event to be a very successful one. And David, I think, was the main speaker at the launch event of Nawami 12 years ago. So that's the end of Sibani's message to you all for this evening. And I'm pleased, as I indicated a moment ago, to introduce Dr. Ragasuda Vinjamuri. So, sorry, let me see where you were. So are you coming to the stand? Or? Thank you.
Honourable Parliamentary Host, Mark Isherwood AS, Honourable Minister, Jane Hutt, Honourable Consul General of India, Raja Garwalji, Dr. Keshavji, Poonamji, Judge Ray Singh, many other friends who have taken time to be with us this August evening. Integration, assimilation, multiculturalism, this is what the sentiment of the evening is. And considering world is a global village, people, communities have been moving from one place to another, one country to another. And that's why most of us are here as diverse communities in the United Kingdom. I would like to speak about something which is probably lesser known to you. You may be knowing a lot of nationalities moving to UK due to the history of colonization. But there is one very rare example where actually people have migrated to, I'm taking Asia, India as an example, historically, 300 years ago. There is this one community that has migrated because of the spice trade, because of the Indian Ocean trade and commerce. A vast majority of African diaspora has moved to India. This is very lesser known and historically very significant. And marking the International Decade for People of African Descent, which is finishing next year, I thought I would take this opportunity to tell you a few words about this diaspora which is settled in India. So Africans settled in India, so Indians of African origin, or can we go to the next slide, please? Can I do it? Thank you. So they are called as Siddhis. Siddhis, African diaspora in India of Ethiopian origin. So at that time it was called as Abyssinia. I'll show you in the next slide. So this research has been undertaken by Sanskriti Center for Cultural Excellence, which I have been heading for the last 13 years. And you can see the picture, and actually you will see a live presentation, you will see a live dance in a bit. So, Siddhis, as they are called, they have arrived in India by trade ships. So, as I said, mainly spice trade. The Arab traders have brought them to India on the ships 350 years ago. More than that, actually. So, we have some sporadic migrations, but mass migrations have started in about 17th century. So, there was a slave trade at the time. So, they first arrived as slaves. Then, because of their own valor, courage and stamina, then they have become soldiers and guards, and then became commanders, and then they became the Nawabs. So it is a living example where if we are working hard, wherever we are, we can reach the top with our own sincerity, hard work, and commitment. So they are of Habesha origin. So Abyssinia is a former older name for Ethiopia. So they are of Eastern African Abyssinian origin. So, and they played a very important role in politico-administrative role in the history of medieval India. When you may be knowing about Mughal Empire, you may be knowing about Bajirao Mastani. A lot of people know, but then Bajirao, one of the Peshwas, that's the time when Siddhis have actually, they have risen to the top. So, just for a second, I'll show you. Bombay Presidency, which is Surat Agency, it was called at the time, in British Raj. So they have established and ruled a princely state of Sachin. How many of you know there was a state called Sachin in India, and anybody who is of Indian origin perhaps. So Sachin, probably you may be knowing Sachin Tendulkar as being world famous cricketer. But Sachin was also a geographical area in India. It was a princely state, majorly ruled by Siddhi Nawabs. 1791, from 1791 under Maratha Peshwa, and then later, in due course of time, it has become British protectorate. 1835 onwards to 1868 and all, it came under British administration. So then it came under Surat agency of Bombay Presidency. So today, in Jamnagar, Bhavnagar, all these areas of Gujarat, you still see Siddhis. They have integrated so much into, amalgamated so much that they speak the local language, they speak Gujarati. But from physical features, you will know that they are people of a different origin. And then some have come down south to Karnataka. So you have Karnataka, Maharashtra, obviously Bombay. And then some have also come to Hyderabad, my hometown. So, sorry. That is Sachin state. That is the state of Sachin, a small area which was ruled by Siddhis. And one of the photographs, just to show you the Nawab of Sachin state, one of the Nawabs. And yeah, this is the Siddhi dance, and you'll be seeing it very shortly. So thank you so much for your attention. So a cultural welcome to all of you, to the dignitaries, which is traditionally starting with the Ganesha invocation and then followed by Siddhi dance.
गजाननं भूतगणाधिसेवितं गजाननं भूतगणाधिसेवितं कपित्थजम्बूफलसारभक्षणम् कपित्थजम्बूफलसारभक्षणम् उमासुतम् उमासुतम् उमासुतं शोकविनाशकारकम् उमासुतं शोकविनाशकारकम् नमामि विघ्नेश्वरपादपङ्कजम् नमामि विघ्नेश्वरपादपङ्कजम् नमामि विघ्नेश्वरपादपङ्कजम् महागणपतिं मनसा स्मरामि
तकजनु तकदिमि तकजनु तकदिम तकजनु तकदिमि ताम 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 तकजनु तकदिमि तकजनु तकदिम तकजनु तकजनु तई 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 तकजनु तकदिमि ताम 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 तकजनु तकदिमि तई 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 तकजनु तकदिमि तकजनु तकदिम तकजनु तकदिमि तकजनु तकदिमि तंगड़ाम तदिंगी न तगतदिंगी न तगदिकु तदिंगी न तगड़ाम तदिंगी न तगतदिंगी न तगदिकु तदिंगी न तगड़ाम तदिंगी न तगतदिंगी न तगदिकु तदिंगी न
महागणपतिं मनसा स्मरामि महागणपतिं
May I invite Mark back on the stage, please?
Well, thank you. I'm going to get your names right. Angolasaka and Arushi Lenka. Wasn't that wonderful?
Angona Sarkar and Arushi Lenka.
And thank you, Rago said. I think last time I saw you dance was on a computer screen at those various events we referred to earlier. But I have great pleasure to invite Jane Hutt, MS, who's the Minister for Social Justice in the Welsh Government, to speak to us.
Well, thank you very much, Mark. A noswaith I chi gyd. Good evening to you all. And, you know, what a great joy after a really busy day, and I'm sure many of us feel like that, to come here and enjoy this wonderful skill, art, talent, and also that great expression of diversity, which means so much to all of us here tonight. So I just really wanted to start. I managed to hear a lot of your introduction, Mark, which I found very informative and educational. I think I might have been there 12 years ago, even indeed, when Nuwami was launched. But I want to thank Nuwami and obviously send very best wishes to Dr. Sibani Roy. I want to thank Nuwami for setting up, for being the Centre for Cultural Engagement, not just in North Wales, where obviously it's based, but spreading its wings across the whole of Wales and being here in our Senedd tonight. And isn't it wonderful to welcome you here to our Senedd, and also to just take some part. I can't stay with you for very long, but just to touch base with you and enjoy that great, vibrant and creative multicultural diversity that we've seen already in this evening's performances. Congratulations, well done to you all. But I know this is a really important theme, multicultural integration and the role of Welsh culture. This is the kind of key theme of the event tonight. Can I say, what an inspiring talk on the African diaspora in India. I had no idea. I think as a minister, and all of us who have any responsibility, when we come to events like this, it's important not just to say a few words of support, but to listen and learn. And I've certainly been listening and learning. So thank you very much, not only for that really informative talk, but then your wonderful dance tonight. It really was a great joy. But also, I'd have to say you must be very proud, Nuwami, of the commitment to promoting and delivering multicultural integration here in Wales to help ensure we have cohesive communities, that our children grow up with a great enthusiasm and recognition of the benefits of that diversity and multicultural integration. And events like today's just so visibly and vocally show the diverse culture and the depth and breadth of it in our country, and the vitally important role also, and I'll just touch on it, that the Welsh language will play in this space. Celebrating cultural diversity is a key action in our Anti-Racist Wales Action Plan. And promoting race equality has always been priority for the Welsh Government, but I think for the whole Senedd, for all our parliamentarians here in Wales, the principles and the commitment to it are actually embedded right from the word go in our Government of Wales Act, when the National Assembly, as it was then, was set up so many years ago. But I think it is a chance, I have got an opportunity tonight to say a few words about our ambitious and radical Anti-Racist Wales Action Plan, because it's built on the values of anti-racism and calls for zero tolerance of racism in all its guises. But it's been developed through extensive engagement and co-construction with our diverse communities, recognising the value of lived experience, and it's a very practical document. Dr. Sibani, Ray and Nuwami played their part in helping to create the plan. It really reflects our commitment to listen and learn with our ethnic minority people, but then not just listen and learn, but take action to make change in ways that are tangible to their lives and communities. And one of the changes that we need to make is to reinforce Welsh Government's commitment to ensuring that individual and collective cultural activities are supported, enabled and realised locally and across Wales. And that's a key commitment, because this plan isn't about just me as Minister for Social Justice, it's about for every minister in the Welsh Government to take action. So we support all parts of society in Wales to embrace and celebrate our diverse cultural heritage and understanding and recognising the right to freedom of cultural expression. I do think it's lovely that we're doing that here tonight, but we need to do it in every sphere of life, don't we, in every part of Wales. Culture is fundamental to people's identities. It reflects values, beliefs and attitudes, and it defines us as people and informs how we relate to each other and positively express both our origins and who we are today. And culture also can be a very powerful vehicle for expressing our unity together and cohesion, celebrating shared inheritance as well as achievements and successes and also history. And that's why we had a history lesson tonight, didn't we, which was so valuable. But this is now going to be incorporated, this history, into our curriculum, which I think is really important, that our young people are going to benefit from that. But as I said, all ministers have a role to play and actions to take forward. So Dawn Bowden, our Deputy Minister for Art and Sport, has awarded more than £2.8 million between 22 local, regional, national, independently run culture, heritage and sport organisations across Wales to support in the delivery of the culture, heritage and sport goals and actions in the Anti-Racist Wales Action Plan. But also the Culture Division, which she's responsible for, is developing a grant specification to procure an external organisation to distribute funding to grassroots groups and organisations. That's really important, that it's the grassroots group as well as the larger national or regional groups. It's those groups in our communities so that they can undertake culturally related activities. And that's going to be across the next 2 years. But also I mentioned the Welsh language because we're committed to a Wales of vibrant culture and thriving Welsh language and how well they come together. Because a key role within our Anti-Racist Wales Action Plan is that the voices of Black, Asian and minority ethnic Welsh speakers are heard and listened to. Last night, I think a few of you might have been there, we had the Nation of Sanctuary Awards in City Hall, and there were some fantastic nominees for a whole range of categories, from categories such as the volunteer, to the leader, to the entrepreneur, but also to the Welsh learner refugee. These are all awards for refugees. And every year there's always the award for the Welsh learner. And fantastic winners who came forward, all people who've come to live in Wales, who we've welcomed as part of our nation of sanctuary people who have fled conflict and have come to live with us in Wales. We must do as much as we can to promote access to the Welsh language for our ethnic minority communities. Of course, that's happening in our schools, in language learning, the workplace and community activities. And also have a better understanding of what it's like to be one of an interesting 10,000 Welsh speakers from ethnic minority communities. 10,000, that's tremendous representations, that commitment to learn Welsh, when so many are speaking, ethnic minority people and communities are speaking many languages and then Welsh, and that's a fantastic achievement. Because this will help us inform our future actions and policies across all of our Welsh Government responsibilities. So just finally from me, this evening event is a real joy and pleasure to be here with you. You've met, so many of you have been engaged with us as we work through our plans, as we try to embrace and uphold our principles and our commitments to developing an anti-racist Wales through our action plan, and to deliver those goals that we have, and to work towards a Wales where the voices and lived experience and cultural contributions which we're seeing tonight of ethnic minorities are not just seen with us here today, which is a great privilege, but seen throughout Wales in every sphere, every community, and every festival, and every opportunity. We are committed to an integrated multicultural Wales, and finally we'll say, where all cultural diversity recognised, respected, enjoyed and embraced. Diolch yn fawr. Thank you very much. Just take away.
Thank you very much indeed, Jane Hutt. And now it gives me great pleasure to introduce Raj Agarwal, who is the Honorary Consul General of India for Wales.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency, Mark Isherwood, for your introduction. We are most grateful to you, sir, for flying the cohesion, the rich heritage, the culture, and the art flag. Your support and commitment to multiracialism is greatly appreciated, and it is very visible today. Honorable Minister Jane Hutt, Assembly members, councillors, community leaders who are present here today, distinguished guests, and all of those who are present here today. It's a huge honor and privilege to be among you all in this iconic Senate, the Welsh Parliament, to celebrate the positive multiculturalism that exists in Wales, as we've heard previously. Firstly, I would like to thank Sibani Roy, as unfortunately we've just heard that she can't be with us, and her team for showcasing the goodness, the happiness associated with multiculturalism. Sibani, I must say, she has done some wonderful work. And I can still remember when she hosted the Indian High Commissioner to Wrexham. It was a memorable and a very enjoyable day spent with the community residents. And the enjoyable day was spent with dignitaries, and it was very, very impressive. So I think she does things well, and she contributes so much. And I hope she recovers quickly, and she's with us very, very soon. We are very fortunate and proud to reside in Wales and call Wales our home. We all share the same love for food, dance, music, and art. These values bond us together, and they are true values. We have proved during the difficult and unpredictable COVID period that we are there for each other. I would be here for hours telling you all the stories about how the communities, especially the community leaders present here, supported, cared for the elderly, vulnerable, and people irrespective of the nationality, of their religion. Thank you to each one of them for their work day in, day out. It is a sheer dedication. Wales, as you heard, is recognized for its amazing hospitality. And let's be proud of the warmth, respect, and compassion we bestow on each other. Sharing our culture and heritage is important for the well-being and happiness of all of us. Let's enjoy being with each other and spread the richness of culture. Thank you so much. God bless.
Thank you so much, Honorary Consul General. And now it's a great pleasure to invite to speak a great friend of Nawami's, Judge Ray Singh, who I'm sure many of you know one way or another, hopefully not because you've been up in front of him in the past in different contexts, but as you heard earlier, Ray is the chair of Nawami's International Advisory Panel, and he's been a very active supporter and participant in Nawami for many years. So, Ray, I bring you to the stage.
Dr. Shumai, Namaste, Salaam Alaikum, Sat Sri Akal, Ram Ram, Jai Bhagwan. Thank you very much for that, Mark. I'm not going to take too much of time because I know the performers, the artists are all ready, raring to go. And I will say a few words at the end of the proceedings. So, diolch yn fawr, and I will call upon, I think, Councillor Jasmine Chowdhury. Is she here? There you are.
Minister, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Noswaith Da, good evening, Shubho Shonda. I'm Councillor Jasmine Chowdhury. I'm one of the councillors for Canton Ward in Cardiff. And I must put on record that there is a full council meeting going on this evening. And I have joined it remotely, so I'm not, I am joining that meeting. And in the true sense of the word, I'm multitasking, and as a lot of the women in the room will be able to relate to, it's a skill I've become accustomed to throughout my life. It gives me great pleasure and it's an immense privilege to welcome Shodho, the Society of Poetry and Indian Music, to this great iconic venue. As a senior public health practitioner, I've always maintained and am a strong advocate for the transformative healing power of art, culture, diversity, and literature music. And as a social justice campaigner, I have seen how this power can also help us to strive for a better world, one that is more peaceful, one that is kinder to the planet. Having been an admirer of Shodho's work for a long time, I was deeply moved by the initiative Shodho took, particularly during the COVID-19 pandemic, to bring poets, musicians, artists, intellectuals, as well as social justice campaigners from all different parts of the globe together through online platforms throughout the pandemic. A very warm thanks to Noami for bringing all of us together here tonight and for organizing this very important event. So, to introduce today's performance from Shodho, Taste of Twilight is a critically acclaimed art production produced by Shodho. This is being launched here at the Senedd, but will be touring a few major art venues across the UK. And this includes the Royal Albert Hall, the Harrogate Theatre, and the Mac Theatre. Shodho is a leading platform for South Asian arts here in the UK that constantly delves into meaningful bridging and mingling of profound arts of the world. Taste of Twilight is a philosophical interpretation of one of the most vital moments of the day and the most mythical moments of our existence too, which is twilight. Biblical, as even most of the Abrahamic theological texts suggest, that the great dissolution of the universe for final apocalypse will happen in twilight. So twilight opens up a horizon of philosophical music and poetic ideas. This production will surely give a glimpse of this, I hope. This is directed by a really good friend of mine, T.M. Ahmed Kaisar, with poetry written by Wordsworth, A. Houseman, Dylan Thomas, Tagore, Whiteman, Sylvia Plath, Jibanananda Das, T.M. Ahmed Kaisar himself, and Sri Ganguly. Greek-born violinist Dimitra Aninado will play the Sebastian Bach, and Welsh harpist Emily Harris will play a few visceral compositions to revive the inner essence of music. Srimati Ragadosa Vinmori, an acclaimed Bharatanatyam dancer, will offer you visual interpretation of powerful verses of poetry. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy this absolutely great production of music, poetry, and dance. Can I invite all the artists to the stage?
So good evening. Hello. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Warm welcome to the Taste of Twilight. And thank you very much, Jasmine, for this beautiful introduction. The whole production is to depict a very personal but surreal experience of Twilight. Twilight, an absolutely blood-shedding phase of the day, personally for me, quite equal to what Ingmar Bergman depicts in his remarkable film, The Hour of Wolf. It was, it's still now, an absolutely helpless and jeopardizing moments when I personally went through so many strange experiences, and I tried to write and express those unexplainable emotions. I ended up fumbling with meaningless sounds without being able to write a single word, and it still happens the same. I can see a flow of blood is streaming through my entity, through the core of my existence. But why? On a melancholic twilight in my childhood, while I used to fly kite in a green field by the bank of the river Shurma, one day I discovered the sun was going and gone. The dusk and darkness engulfed myself and the universe so immediately. I shouted and cried with fear, but nobody came to assure me, do not fear, boy, the sun will rise again. Perhaps because I was all by myself, like the boy Abraham of Bible. I bowed my head to the sun when I first saw it and thought this might be the manifestation of God who protects me and others, gives shadow and shelter on the emptiness above head. But with the ruthless experience of sunset and darkness, I was terrified, and I thought this must have been the end of everything. And nobody remained in this endless universe to look after me. And so I started growing up in a godless world. The fear in Twilight is also because I read in most of the theological, mythical, and ancient texts that the final dissolution of the universe will happen in between twilight and dark. So Twilight always comes to me with some unexplainable fears and surreal, strange experiences. When I come in the vicinity of Twilight, my eyes have an abnormal vision of memory from my childhood. All the shepherds are going home through a rural dusty paths with cattle. And red dust under the red blood sky is floating all around, and as if the whole village and village after village are immersed in cries and strange whispers. I feel I'm saved for a day when we spend each twilight. So twilight comes with an absolute loneliness. And I gradually discovered old friends I'm spiritually connected to, Ingmar Bergman, for an example. They equally felt helpless in these very moments of transition. Bergman through the glass darkly, and many frames and many film digests, or even one of the iconic Welsh poet, Dylan Thomas, who wrote, "And every evening at sundown, I ask a blessing on the town, for whether we last the night or no, I'm sure is always touch and go." Even when I seek remedy from the composition of Johann Sebastian Bach, I invariably see that flow of blood through the rays of the weeping sun in every twilight. Ustad Bore Ghulam Ali Khan, the Bach of Indian classical music, very remarkably said, while singing Rag Marwa, a phenomenal twilight raga on the bank of the river Sea, Arab Sea, while the sun was setting in the horizon, he he stopped all of a sudden and said to his friend, "See, our twilight ragas are so philosophically connected with the relevant emotions. While we sing Rag Marwa, we search for the note Sa. In every musical phrase we finish, knowing Sa is the home note for Rag Marwa and all of the twilight ragas, as if we search for home when twilight falls on the earth. When we cry in endless jeopardy because we realize by then that there is no ultimate home. All we see are actually the illusion of home. In perhaps one of those strange twilight, a great Russian landscape painter was invaded by ruthless loneliness. Therefore, we won't find any single living being in any of his painting, Isaac Levitan. Only apart from the last one, just before he died, where he painted a horse in an abandoned, cold, frozen landscape. Perhaps in blood-shedding twilight, a lonely horse, shivering with cold. This wasn't simply a horse, I think. It was Isaac Levitan himself. It's me. And this is the horse I see the reflection of myself through. And I'm sure Bach, Tagore, Wordsworth, A. Houseman, Sylvia, Jivanananda, whose verses will be read and recited, everyone was that horse too. In one blink of your eyes, please try to look at the visual interpretation by Srimati Ragashida Pinjamori. But at the other blink, please do not forget to look at the painting, mostly by Isaac Levitan, on the screen. And few others like Wendy Pewart, Thomas Moran, Michel Mastrangelo, Ken Figuiski. Please have a look at the deer at the sunset by Ken Figuiski. In one point it will appear here. And see if you can see yourself with all of our vulnerabilities, helplessness in that deer too.
It is a beauteous evening, calm and free. The holy time is quiet as a nun, breathless with adoration. The broad sun is sinking down in its tranquility. The gentleness of heaven broods o'er the sea. Listen, the mighty being is awake, and doth with his eternal motion make a sound like thunder, everlastingly. Dear child, dear girl that walkest with me here, if thou appear untouched by solemn thought, thy nature is not therefore less divine. Thou liest in Abraham's bosom all the year, and worshipst at the temple's inner shrine, God being with thee when we know it not. How clear, how lovely bright, how beautiful to sight those beams of morning play. How heaven laughs out with glee, where like a bird set free, up from the eastern sea soars the delightful day. Today I shall be strong, no more shall yield to wrong, shall squander life no more. Days lost, I know not how, I shall retrieve them now. Now I shall keep the vow I never kept before. Ensanguining the skies, how heavily it dies into the west way, past touch and sight and sound, not further to be found. How hopeless underground falls the remorseful day. And whence and why come you? We know not whence was the answer. We only know that we drift here with the rest, that we lingered and lagged, but were weighted at last, and are now here to make the passing showers concluding drops.
সমস্ত দিনের শেষে শিশিরের শব্দের মতন সন্ধ্যা আসে, ডানার রৌদ্রের গন্ধ মুছে ফেলে চিল, পৃথিবীর সব রং নিভে গেলে পাণ্ডুলিপি করে আয়োজন, তখন গল্পের তরে জোনাকির রঙে ঝিলমিল, সব পাখি ঘরে আসে, সব নদী ফুরায়, এ জীবনের সব লেনদেন। থাকে শুধু অন্ধকার, মুখোমুখি বসিবার বনলতা সেন। চাই এবার খেয়া নৌকোখানার মাঝিও দূর থেকে হাঁক পাড়ুক, কেন কেন এই শঙ্খ নদী পারে দাঁড়িয়ে আছো বাহে? শীতে রক্ত গধূলি বেলা একা, ধীরে চারদিকের জলস্পন্দন সব থামুক, আরো রক্তপাত হোক নিঃশব্দে, আরো রক্ত অশ্রু সন্ধ্যা ও কুয়াশা নামুক, রূপ ও রোদন ভরা এই রূপ নারায়ণের কুলে আরো শূন্য, আরো শূন্য, আরো শূন্য হয়ে উঠুক এই শঙ্খ তরঙ্গ তীর। অদূরে কাশ ফুলের কম্পন স্থির হয়ে আসুক যেন নিজের ফিসফাস, নিজের বিড়বিড় সব নিজেই শুনতে পাই। আর জানি তুমি হয়তো ঠিকই ফিরে আসবে এই শঙ্খ নদী পারে, রক্ত ধূলি পথে, অন্তত প্রথম আত্মহনন ও অজস্র পুনর্জন্মের ফাঁকে এক সন্ধ্যায়।
It all starts with a thud, soft yet sharp like distant gunshot, a sound with an edge. Something has crashed somewhere. I walk outside like the shadow of dusk, a rebel with a silent fire burning. It's that bird again. It must have flown into the door. The tiny bird, lying still, its feet curled up like the skeleton of a flower. Must have been flying too fast. Must have been caught mid-flight, startled by its own reflection. It's still warm to the touch. Is there a slight tremble left? Or is it the wind? I hold it close to my chest for a while. Its feet stretched out. I hold it close to my chest so that my heart can beat onto it. I hum something meaningless so that it can hear me sing. What is the purpose of a song, if not to give life? Why does it keep flying into the window? Is it going blind? Does it want it to end its life? Does it want to explore the very brink of existence? I hold it near the tap outside. Drops of water fall on its beak like tears. I walked into a glass door once and almost died of shame, afraid to explore my loneliness, afraid to explore contempt. I bled a lot afterwards from my lips. No one saw me bleeding, just my words, just my words. My words kept bleeding. I lay it under the Japanese maple with its curly leaves, wind-burnt edges. Here it can rest. And that everything is hurt somewhere, or that sometimes a little bit of rest is all it takes. Later when I return, the door with its old glass heart is partly open, gently swaying in the wind, like a monstrous wing readying to take flight. Maybe the bird has flown. The spot is empty. I find a semblance of feather, dainty like dandelion fluff. Almost there, almost not there. Perhaps it was never there. It all starts with a thud, soft yet sharp like a distant gunshot, a sound with an edge in the half-light, in the misty twilight, with its growing heart of darkness. I know that the sky is endless. I walk inside like the shadow of dusk, a rebel with a silent fire burning. What has died inside me? What has come alive and soared to the skies?
Alas, to live in this alien shore, to live in doubt, distress, and despair. Here, who will spare me from crisis, fear, and woe? Alas, in this wilderness, there is no one so close.
প্রথম দিনের সূর্য প্রশ্ন করেছিল, সত্তার নতুন আবির্ভাবে কে তুমি? মেলেনি উত্তর। বৎসর বৎসর চলে গেল, দিবসের শেষ সূর্য শেষ প্রশ্ন উচ্চারিল পশ্চিম সাগর তীরে নিস্তব্ধ সন্ধ্যায়। কে তুমি? কে তুমি? পেল না উত্তর।
I know the bottom, she says. I know it with my great tap root. It is what you fear. I do not fear it. I have been there. Is it the sea you hear in me? Its dissatisfactions? Or the voice of nothing that was your madness? Love is a shadow. How you lie and cry after it. Listen, these are its hooves. It's gone off like a horse. All night I shall gallop thus impetuously, till your head is a stone, your pillow a little turf, echoing, echoing. Or shall I bring you the sound of poisons? This is rain now, this big hush. And this is the fruit of it, tin white, like arsenic. I have suffered the atrocity of sunsets, scorched to the root. My red filaments burn and stand a hand of wires. Now I break up in pieces that fly about like clubs. A wind of such violence will tolerate no bystanding. I must shriek. The moon also is merciless. She would drag me, cruelly, being barren. Her radiance scathes me, or perhaps I have caught her. I let her go. I let her go, diminished and flat as after radical surgery. How your bad dreams possess and endow me. I am inhabited by a cry. Nightly it flaps out, looking with its hooks for something to love. I'm terrified by this dark thing that sleeps in me now. All day I feel its soft, feathery turnings, its malignity. Clouds pass and disperse. Are those the faces of love, those pale irretrievables? Is it for such I agitate my heart? I am incapable of more knowledge. What is this? This face, so murderous in its strangle of branches, its snaky acids hiss. It petrifies the will. These are the isolate slow faults that kill, that kill, that kill. Son of the first day, put the question to the new manifestation of life. Who are you? There was no answer. Years passed by. The last son of the last day uttered the question on the shore of the western sea in the hush of evening. Who are you? No answer came again.
Hetha কে রাখিবে দুঃখ ভয় সংকটে হেথা কে রাখিবে দুঃখ ভয় সংকটে হেথাকে রাখিবে দুঃখ ভয় সংকটে এমন আপন কেহ নাহি এ প্রান্তরে হায় রে এই পরবাসে রবিকে হায় কে রবে সংশয়ে সন্তাপে শোকে এই পরবাসে রবিকে So thank you very much for joining. So ladies and gentlemen, many thanks for joining and listening to our own interpretation of Twilight. Please put your hands together. I would say the poet of harp, how beautifully she was interpreting the inner essence of verses through playing beautiful instrument harp, Emily Harris. Please put your hands together again for. And then obviously Eric Schilander, mainly a singer, mainly a troubadour, Schubert singer, an actor, photographer, and a friend of Shoda from day one, and part of many phenomenal art initiatives that we've been doing for the last 13 or 14 years. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Eric Schilander. And you obviously witnessed the hypnotic moment that Srimati Ragashida Vinjumari created just before the event with beautiful dance, and also how beautifully she gave the visual interpretation of verses, poetry. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together again. Tanjina Nuri Siddiq is mainly a performance poet, a newscaster, and such a talented spoken word artist. She read with an impassioned performer, all will agree on this, and how beautifully she read verses from phenomenal verses and visceral verses from Tagore, and few of my poetry, my verses. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Tanjina. And we have a very talented Greek-born Western classical violinist who played from Sebastian Bach. I mentioned Sebastian Bach is part of all of my surreal dreams, and I wrote so many poems while I was listening to Bach after midnight. Many midnight, so many late nights, so many nights I spent listening Sebastian Bach, and the one who introduced Bach to me was Ingmar Bergman. So many thanks, Dimitri Ananiadou, for being part of this project, part of this production, and beautifully playing. And then obviously Keith, a man who was working from behind the scene. Many thanks, Keith, for being so nice and working relentlessly from behind the scene. And James, I'm sure you heard us well, and all credits go to James, who have been working relentlessly from behind the scene to make this sound successfully going to you. So ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for James. And two wonderful friends and part and parcel of Shodha. One is a very progressive politician, a wonderful community leader from Bengali community, Syed Anamul Islam, who came all the way from London, and Councillor Jasmine Chaudhry, who gave an introduction before we started performing. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Jasmine and Syed Anamul Islam. And many, many thanks to all of you for joining this event. And many thanks to Dr. Shivani Rai, a visionary feminist community leader, for doing so many things with a vision to bridge different cultures. And Naomi is doing such a wonderful job. It's first time we are performing for Naomi. Many thanks to Dr. Shivani Rai and Srimati Ragashida Vinjamari and all members of Naomi for inviting us to stage this launching production. Like Jasmine told you, this will go to Royal Albert Hall and many mainstream prestigious halls all around the UK. Thank you very much for joining again.
The founder of Shoda, who ended the concert by singing very beautifully. He's facilitated hundreds and hundreds of concerts. TM Ahmed Kaisher.
May I invite Judge Ray Singh to come and say concluding remarks.
Well, how can you follow that? Twilight. As we every day experience the twilight, we will not forget you, Ahmed, and your team. Well done. Congratulations. And we wish you all the best for the tour which you have intending to attend. Can I thank everyone for attending? To start off with Mark, who, as usual, gave you the history of Nawami, how it has progressed from the day one to now, and he has not once let us down. Thank you very much, Mark. I see other AMs are here. Jenny, thank you very much for attending. I think Minister has left. Our revered Consul Raj Agarwala has always been supportive, and thank you very much. Dhanyabad for coming and supporting us. All the team here in the Senate who have in fact gone out of way to welcome everyone. Diokonvar, thank you very much indeed. Young ladies, you have performed superbly well, absolutely beautifully, and wish you all the best for the future. And the committee members, the directors, both here in South, in North, and in England, and indeed the very leader of this, the mother of all the the Nawami movement, Dr. Sibani, and she has been sending lots of messages, and she's crying, listening and seeing what is happening here today. But we will not forget twilight. We will remember, as we see the twilight, what we had. Superb performance by the artists here today. So, dear Kumar, thank you very much, all. And safe journey home. I'm sorry, 2 minutes out.
One thing before